This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Detroit is the greatest!
Straight up light you on fire for a coney dog right now.
Darren McCarty comes back with Neiman in front of him. McCarty draws. McCarty in. McCarty scores! He makes it go! Darren McCarty!
Stafford takes, throws, end zone, Calvin, touchdown, Detroit Lions!
What's up, everybody? It's another episode of the Motor City Sports Rant. As always, I am Jason Jarvi. Follow me on Twitter at Jarvi the King. And sitting across from me, I know he's waiting to press his button because he loves to do it, is the phone, the doc, John Macaroon.
Bada boom! Realest guys in the room! How you doing?
If I was closer to you, I would slap you in the mouth.
Well, see, now I know I brought out the aggressive side of you because we got wrestling in the background. I finally figured out how to get Monday Night Raw live in the studio. I'm a happy man, but now you're aggressive, dude. What's going on?
I know you're so excited to watch dudes in underwear glistening with sweat just grabbing each other. Like, dude's head is in his crotch.
Listen, why do people that don't like wrestling have to hate on it? It's scripted entertainment
because
for men.
It's so easy to hate on it.
It's not easy to hate on. It's very, listen, if you don't like it, don't watch it. But it's something that I grew up with. I'm a big fan of it. And it's something that, you know, I kind of got into for a while as a kid. Then it faded away a little bit in college as an adult. But now in my mid to late 30s, I got back into it. And it's a new era, a lot of new young guys. And don't hate, man. Plus, I'm excited. I got the chance to figure out how to put USA Live on the studio. It enhances the entertainment opportunities of this podcast. Come on, dude. You can't hate.
I'm going to hate as much as I want. And I just don't get wrestling. But, you know, it's been 2 weeks since we've had a podcast. We had the holidays in between.
Did you have a good holiday?
I did have it was a really relaxing weekend. We've had 2 relaxing weekends. It's been nice because just the whole month of May and even in April, it was just so jam-packed. It seemed like we didn't have a weekend off. So finally, it was just nice to be able to sit down, relax, and just kind of recharge.
Mine was very relaxing as well. I'm enjoying this Diet Coke very much so. It's been a
free plug.
Yes, I took a month off from drinking soda and my first couple back since the holidays. But
how did that go? You did a month without soda?
A whole month. It was tough.
Why'd you go back?
Well, you know what? I like it a lot, and I went to a couple birthday parties over the weekend. You just can't when they have pizza and pop. And so now, like I said, instead of 20 ounces, go down to 12. I'm not going to go back a lot, just once in a while. And the big thing is get in the gym. That's my plan.
You got to be careful. I did that. There was one point I lost a bunch of weight, and I stopped drinking pop for probably a good 3 months. I'd like let myself have like a glass once a week. But after we were doing like a whole fitness, trying to get into shape competition, after that was done, I kept it up for a little while. But then I just backslid because I love pop.
Me too. That's my biggest problem.
It's not about the caffeine. It's, I don't know. There's something about
it makes the food taste better.
When it hits your lips. Yeah, you're right. Pizza, much better with a pop. There's stuff that I would rather drink that than like a beer.
Exactly. That's how I am too. So I'm going to try to limit it to, like I said, maybe just once a week. But really, if I do, then hit the gym hard because that's it. That's the motto for the rest of the year is get fit. And I do feel better. I feel lost a little bit of weight now in the last couple of weeks. And just trying to just get to the gym, eat a little bit less of everything that I love, and we'll go from there. That's what you got to do.
Well, good for you. So as I said, it's been 2 weeks since we've had a podcast. When we last had the podcast, it was Monday, May 23rd. The Detroit Tigers had just gotten back to 500 at 22-22. So 2 weeks, you figure they'd go one way or the other. They'd either keep going up or they would revert back to Fire Osmus. And 2 weeks later, they are currently 28-28. 500 once again. Press the button.
Listen, 2 weeks ago, I talked to you about getting on the bandwagon and said, listen, you need to be excited. 2 weeks have passed, And now we're looking at a totally different team. And I'm again going to implore you, I'm going to try my best to encourage you to be more positive with the Tigers. Look at Justin Upton hits a home run in the first opening game in the series versus Toronto. He got a key hit. And Brad Ausmus made a decision that actually helped the club. 3-0 count, gives the green light when a lot of managers will just say, take the pitch. Justin Upton, with the bases loaded, hits a double. Maybe has sparked his turnaround, gets a home run on Monday night's game. Hey, you never know. Why is it that you're still taking the stance of, hey, they're still 500 and you still sound a little bit less than thrilled with the Tigers?
I still think this team, it's going to be
Come on, Jason.
It's a roller coaster the entire season. They're going to probably finish around 500. The one glimmer of hope that I will take out of these 2 weeks is after Anibal Sanchez's last start, where he got rocked once again. He came out and he said, it's just not working. We're going to have to make a change. And I think we initially were saying, we were wondering, what does that mean? Does that mean he's just going to work with a pitching coach for a little while? I didn't really see him going down to Toledo. I'm not even sure if that was an option. But then it came out quickly after that Anibal Sanchez is going to be making the move to the bullpen, which I think it's a very smart idea. I think the Sanchez is good in spurts. He really starts struggling the second and third times through in the batting order. So you put him in the bullpen, say, hey, you need to go 1-2 innings at max. Go out there, pitch your best stuff, and that's all we need you to do. And I think that's going to be a much better situation for him.
Listen, everyone knew that Anibal Sanchez wasn't carrying his weight, and the big thing is with any pitcher or anybody on a ball club is you have to be able to give the team and everyone else a sense that you're going to help the squad win a game. And with Anibal, it just got to the point where every time he went out there, it was a big struggle. So great move putting him in the bullpen. Yet I don't believe that he's debuted yet. And people are asking like, hey, when is he going to come out of the bullpen? And I don't recall seeing him come out yet. So the talk is they're waiting for the right situation for him to come out. Hell, as long as they've been winning, there is no situation. Just keep him in there and let's see what happens with this retooled bullpen. Because right now things are looking up with the offense. The ball club's playing a lot better, and guys that were struggling have kind of come around. And one of those guys that has been impressive after he came out and said, hey, I'm going to be dominant again, a now arguably healthy Justin Verlander has come back and been really stellar. It's good to see.
It's good to see, but I think you're still at the mercy of the batting order. That if they're on, you're gonna have a good chance to win. And if the bats are cold, then it's not going to matter who's on the mound. It's not going to matter if it's JV. It's not going to matter if it's Zimmerman. It's not going to matter if we had Clayton Kershaw on the mound. If we're scoring 0 or 1 runs, it's not going to help this team. And my reluctance to really jump on this bandwagon and say that they're going to turn it around is I need to see prolonged success from this team. They haven't done it yet. In the 2 weeks since our last podcast, it's literally been a roller coaster. They've gone back and forth, win-loss. They won a bunch. They lost a bunch in a row. And until, Cabrera, Victor Martinez, JD Martinez, Justin Upton, Castellanos, all those guys are hitting consistently. And they're scoring somewhere between 4 and 6 runs every night. And even if they're losing those games, I want to see somewhere around 4 to 6 runs to have any kind of confidence in this team.
Okay, so you're still taking a wait-and-see approach. You're still a little bit skeptical with these Detroit Tigers. I'm looking at it like, look, we've been skeptical all year. We've been skeptical since the day that Brad Ausmus was hired. It's also good to look at it and view it from a positive perspective because look at it like this. We're still in the early parts of June. Last 3 weeks, they were around 8 games out. With the recent stretch that they've had, they've moved into, around 3 to 4 games out. You just swept a team that's in your division, and now you got to wait and see what they're going to do versus Toronto and the upcoming matchups that they have. So they're winning these games. And so this team could have easily taken a turn for the worse, giving up when they lost 11 of 13. They didn't do that. They seem like now they're rallying around. They're rallying around guys that are struggling. Look at Justin Upton. He gets that key hit. Justin Verlander's super excited. The squad's excited. I do believe this is a good, tight-knit group of guys, and this is a group of guys that really, if you just make a couple slight moves, this team could be right there in it. Not based on their talent alone, but just based on the fact that as we're recording this, who's in first place? Cleveland? They don't scare me. Do they have enough offense?
3.5 games behind right now.
Cleveland has solid pitching, but they don't have the offensive capabilities that we do. So I'm saying, listen, I think you're missing out on some really good baseball and some really good storylines because of the fact that globally you're not really, down with the cause and you're still a little bit down. I'm saying get on board. I think it's an exciting time, and just maybe, these guys could do something if they just add one or two more pieces that can contribute. This team could do something.
You're not going to change my mind. There's really no way that you can talk me into. You can talk for a half hour about how good this team can be and how our offense is so good. How could it not fail? There's no way that I'm just going to up and go, yeah, the Tigers, woo, yeah. No, I'm not going to do that. My brain works too efficiently to do that. Now, if we were talking about the Lions, yes, I go crazy for the Lions. But this is the Tigers. It's baseball. There's I have a little bit more logic in baseball, and I'm going to need to see 1 to 2 weeks of consistently being well over 500. I want to see single digit losses.
Gotcha. You want to see a stretch of baseball a little bit more consistent with winning and a little bit more a better brand of baseball. Even more.
Yeah, it's and I don't think I'm asking a lot. I'm not saying go undefeated through the month of June. I'm just saying put out better baseball. Be consistent, because it's frustrating as a fan watching them go back and forth, going through a streak of wins, going through a streak of losses. It's frustrating.
The Freedom Man chimes in on our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast. I talked about, I questioned whether the fans had lost their faith, and do they have renewed faith with Justin Upton, Justin Verlander. Freedom Man gets in and says, never doubted the Tigers to begin with, just had to find their rhythm. They found their rhythm, King. I'm telling you, this is what we're seeing now, and this is what's explaining this better stretch.
Is their rhythm win 2, lose 2, win 1, lose 2, win 3?
Their rhythm means that when the pitching staff performs well, Michael Fulmer, Justin Verlander, Boyd on some occasions, when they're pitching well, the offense is in sync, giving them some run support. And then when the run support's there, the pitching staff has done well. And then another part that's really been key that you can see tangibly, the defense has played a lot better. They're not sloppy. In key situations, Iglesias has made plays. In the outfield, they're not dropping balls. They're not missing the cutoff guy. They're just playing standard, simple baseball, and it's allowing them to not give up cheap runs. And hey, when you're scoring 6 runs in 5 innings against Toronto, it's pretty good. You're in a good spot. So listen, it may happen. It may be in a situation where, just like the weather in Michigan, it was cloudy, it was, not great. All of a sudden, even just before the season started, it started snowing in March, maybe the end of March, early April. And then all of a sudden, in the last stretch of last couple weeks, the sun's come out every day. It's been absolutely beautiful weather. Hell, I'm going to take that as a sign that this ball club, I have a good feeling, is going to be around within 5 games of the Central. Whether or not they're going to win it or get to the postseason, I don't think so, as is. But Al Avila's job is going to be to tinker, maybe make a move with a former colleague and get some pieces, get some young talent. I know that earlier on Monday at your current job, Detroit Sports 105.1, a great point, the one that I agreed with.
Are you talking about the whole Justin Verlander is pitching better because he got engaged to Kate Upton?
That was a great take. I laughed. That was very good. No, I'm saying that Justin Verlander pitching well provides us an opportunity to have another piece that maybe, just maybe, with the right phone call, the right mix, you could lose him, trade him off, get rid of that contract, add a couple pieces that could help you, and you can go from there, because he's still owed over $100 million in the next 4 or 5 years as part of his contract. If he pitches well, and he's dominant maybe 3 to 4 more starts, you just maybe could make that phone call and get some talent in here and really consider, the future and the present.
So I'll agree that it would be, that would be the smartest option. That if he does.
Would you be willing to do it?
I would be. But I'm not sure if Mr. I is willing to do that, because I really feel that this Tigers team still believes that they're contending for the championship. And if you trade away Justin Verlander, you're essentially telling everybody season's over. We're building for the future. Have hope, because this is going to, in the long run, be great for us. We're not even going to be sure how good these guys are going to be when we get them. But for this season's over. And I don't think that Mr. Ilitch is going to let that happen. Unless in the next 3 weeks, I don't even want to say it. I'd feel really bad saying what I'm thinking right now, because then it would probably happen and I would feel personally responsible for it. But unless sometime in the next 3 or 4 weeks that Mr. Ilitch passes away, which I really hope he does.
Knock on wood. No, we don't hope.
Knock on wood.
Right.
But that would be the only way that I would really see them just tank the rest of the season.
No, I don't.
Do you?
I don't see the Tigers tanking. I'm saying that my big thesis. My big thesis was that I believe, that this team is not a World Series caliber team as constructed. Do they believe that 1 or 2 moves might get them there? I think that's the overriding philosophy. My philosophy has been to blow the whole thing up, because I don't see this team winning the World Series. I'm just saying this stretch of games for the Tigers has been way better than the start of the year. Now, let's say that you make a move. You add another starter. You add another bullpen arm. You could do some damage. You could maybe, in this weekend, AL Central, maybe get to the postseason, and you never know.
I think that more likely than not, this team will be right around 500 come the trade deadline, which means we're likely going to be somewhere in the vicinity, unless Kansas City takes off or Cleveland takes off. We're going to be right in the mix for the AL Central, and maybe still competing or somewhere around the wild card. And we're going to be buyers at the trade deadline. Now, you see the White Sox, they already went out and got themselves James Shields, who... Should
the Tigers have gotten into that sweepstakes? It looks like they got out in front of it. They told everybody, look, the price that they were asking was just way too much, and they passed. But the White Sox got him. I think he'll be a nice piece there. And, Chicago's got a nice pitching staff, but, it was nice to see the Tigers were able to kind of dominate their predominantly left-handed starters.
I would have liked to see the Tigers at least be involved in that conversation, because when I saw it, I initially was like, God, come on. I look at what Shields is doing this year. He's not really dominating. Maybe some of it is because he's in the NL, but you would think in the NL that he's actually pitching better. Until James Shields comes to the White Sox and really starts dominating, it's not going to worry me too much. But what pieces are we going to be looking at the trade deadline to try and gain? And what do we really need? Do we need another bat? I would think that we have enough power in the lineup right now. I would say you need a utility man. That would be the one. If you're talking about what this team needs, obviously it would be a starting pitcher to be your number 3, because right now you have JV and Jordan Zimmerman.
Fulmer's good at 4.
Fulmer's good, but I don't want to depend on him as being your number 3. So I think you need to go out and get a number 3 pitcher at a reasonable price. And I really think this team would benefit from a utility guy, because the lineup is set. But then if some guy is hurt, if some guy needs a day off, you're going to Mike Aviles.
You might just need that one pitcher, because a lot of people are talking about this Jimenez character down in Toledo. This dude is a stud, throwing around 96 to 98 miles an hour. He's a guy that a lot of people are talking about that he's probably going to be showcased pretty soon, sooner rather than later. And he's done some great things so far, and that's a name to keep out there. And he might come in here and really do some damage his first go around in the major leagues. But the bullpen, if you look at it, also could be rounding into shape if you got some of the guys that were former starters in the bullpen. Green, Sanchez could do the job. You got Wilson, the two Wilsons in there, and then you got K-Rod who's doing his thing. Now you're looking at a bullpen that's a little bit more consistent and a little bit more stable. And that's why the offense can help out, and that's why I agree maybe a utility guy, a journeyman that can be productive can help this team out because, with more run support, then you're continuing to help your pitching staff. It can round into shape, but obviously they're not going to stand pat. They can't. They're not going to stand pat because obviously if they do, you're going to be looking at a 500 team. They're going to make one or two moves. And so then the question you'd have to ask is, what piece are you willing to move where you wouldn't get hurt? Adam, my cousin on the Doc and Jock podcast, he's like, there aren't too many moves. He threw out Cameron Maben. If he continues, maybe you could move him. But I was saying, listen, Kinsler's doing well. JD's doing well. McCann now starting to pick up. There's no really untouchable that I would be like, oh, heck no, don't move him outside of now, maybe Fulmer. Even Miguel Cabrera. Anybody that could bring you some talent and bring you a nice haul, a la the David Price move. Look at what they did. They set up the future now with that trade. If you can get rid of somebody, I wouldn't be opposed to taking any phone call and listening to any trade offer. Is there anybody that you would not willing to trade?
You kind of just morphed, though. It seemed like you were initially talking about trying to make a move to help this team get into the playoffs. And now you're talking about moving a guy and looking forward to the future. I don't think you can do both. I really don't see that possibility because the way that I see, I don't think there's untouchables on this team. But what does happen is if you move an Ian Kinsler or a Cameron Maben or JD Martinez, I think you upset the balance because you're likely going to be trading for prospects, guys who are AA, AAA guys. You're not going to be trading for a guy who's going to come in and immediately produce for you. So I think that's you can trade, but you're essentially the rest of the season is going to be a wash. I don't say you're going to tank, but it's not going to pan out for you. Not this year.
So the only guy then, Adam is probably right, is Cameron Maben. That won't upset the balance too much. Although he's hitting above 400, he's been a positive contributor.
I know, and that's, I say he's not untouchable, but he has. He's come in ever since he came back from injury, and he's been a lightning rod with his bat. And I would hate to lose him, but if you're planning for the future, then I think you have to do that.
Okay. Yeah, it is kind of tough to see how you would tinker to fix this team and get them to play above a 500 clip. That's why I'm not the general manager. That's why I'm this lucky guy giving an opinion. But, my big thing is, my big feeling is that they should blow it all up, is that I don't see it. But now I'm looking at, okay, what's really realistically going to happen? They're not going to blow this whole thing up and start all over, obviously, because that would be flushing $200 million down the toilet. So they're not going to do that. So they're not going to listen to the doc, which I would say is a mistake. You should always listen to the doc, but you're not going to? Fine. So then now I go to, what realistically could they do is make one move. Maybe you trade off some guys in the minors, one guy for, maybe Steven Moya is a guy that can potentially bring you somebody that can start now. But I disagree with you a little bit in that, the David Price trade did upset the balance, but you were able to kind of look to the future and bring in guys that contributed. Norris was okay towards the end of last year. Given that, they were officially selling, they weren't, making that move with the idea of making the postseason. I think you could make a move.
David Price is an all-star pitcher that you're trading away. Yeah. You'd have to be trading away an all-star caliber player to get that kind of talent again.
What I'm saying is there is a possibility of potentially upsetting the apple cart and still having a successful season, in my opinion. That's the creativeness of El Avila. He's got to be able to look around the league and find somebody to, make a fair trade with. But do you see them adding those pieces, or do you see them, potentially scouring the market and not really coming up with anything? Do you see moves being made?
I see them making at least one or two moves, and it's likely going to be more in a buyer position. The one move that I do see, or that I could see panning out for this season, would be trying to trade Justin Verlander. If he comes in the next couple starts and pitches like the old JV, I think you could get enough talent. What we have in the bullpen right now, or in the rotation, you'd have Zimmerman, Fulmer. Who else? Zimmerman, Fulmer, Boyd.
Yeah, then you'd be looking to what? Maybe potentially bring back a Green or Sanchez if he works it out.
Norris,
but he's been a little bit inconsistent.
So I don't know. Depending on who you get back, if you can get back a number 4 pitcher and then a bunch of starters and a bunch of prospects, that would be the only way that I think the batting order is set, and I'm not sure if Ausmus really needs to tinker anymore with that.
Okay, yeah.
And another question, we haven't even, how long have we gone through talking about the Tigers right now? We haven't even talked about firing Brad Ausmus.
That's a good thing. It's been stabilized. I think that he finally made a move that people can look to and say, hey, he made a managerial decision that might have been different than what some would have done, and maybe he potentially sparked off Justin Upton's offensive revival. You never know. But Brad Ausmus has been okay. He hasn't been too terrible. The big thing, though, with Brad Ausmus is, is he going to continue to evolve and realize he needs to learn when to take the pitchers out and when to effectively, make the right calls. Because he made a mistake with JV letting him go in that inning where he came out there, I think it was the 8th inning, and he asked JV, hey, can you go? And JV shoos him off. You need to take the ball from his hand. Even though he may be a warrior and go 120 and things like that, even Adam said that he noticed that Verlander was struggling. His command was a little bit off, and Adam saw it. Why didn't Brad Ausmus go out there and yank the ball from him? He needs to just have a little bit more of that kind of command. With that, he may just evolve into someone who's decent.
So on a scale of 1 to 10 right now, with 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, what is the level of hot seatness for Brad Ausmus?
5.
5, right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
They're 500, and the hot seat is at a good 50%.
It's at a good 50%, right? Isn't that fair? I don't think it's at a 1 because you still would expect this team to really be ahead of 500, maybe 5 to 6 games above 500 at this point in time, and it's not terrible because they've done pretty well in recent series.
I'd actually go as far to say that it's at like a 2.5 right now, but I think this seat gets hot really fast. They're at 500. He's actually made some moves that you can point to with the Sanchez. I think moving Maben up to the number 2 spot, I think that's another thing that you can point to. But if they have 6 games until our next show, they got 3 against Toronto here at home, and then 3 against the Yankees in New York. If they go out and they should win tonight. What's the score? I don't know. It was 6-0.
I still think it's 6-0
when we initially started the show. If they go out and they go, 5-1 or 4-2, then I think he stays right the same, because I think nobody's really talking about Brad Ausmus right now. But if they come out and they just get completely cold, they go 1-5 or 2-4, then people are going to start talking about it again. It rises back up to a 5 where you're at, where I think it's going to go either way.
With that said, these Detroit Tigers are, a 500 team. They're playing a lot better offensively. Is there a scenario in which you see, them reverting back to losing 11 of 13, playing in a way that's not like this offensively? Now, you're not going to, what was happening is everybody that was struggling all at once. During that recent losing streak, you had JD, Miguel Cabrera, Upton, all hitting around 100. Now, a lot of these guys are coming back and being productive. JD, Upton, McCann has come around. I don't see a scenario where they're going to probably have a prolonged losing streak. I see win a couple, lose a couple in the next stretch of games in the month of June. I don't see them in this stretch, the way they've been playing and the way the pitchers have been performing. I don't see them having an extended losing streak upcoming.
Honestly, I could see anything from this team. I wouldn't be surprised to see them rattle off 5 in a row. I wouldn't be surprised to see them lose 5 in a row, because I'm honestly of the mindset that this team it's 500, and water is eventually going to find its level. If, for a 10-game stretch, the bats are just hot and it doesn't even matter how our pitching is doing, then you're going to go 10 games somewhere in the season where everything is just not working. So I don't think we shouldn't see you on any team. You shouldn't expect to see a prolonged losing streak like that. But with this team right now, anything won't surprise me.
Okay, back to the drawing board for me. I got to find new creative ways of getting you excited about these Tigers. I think a sweep of Toronto might do it. Maybe a good week ahead. Maybe JV throws a no-hitter.
I'd like to, if you want to start to, pique my interest, go out and sweep the Yankees in New York. Then you show me that you go on the road to a pretty decent team, and then we can go from there.
All right, stay with us. Stay with us. We'll take a quick timeout on the Motor City Sports Rant, 64th edition. We're going to talk Lions and the NBA Finals ahead in the second half of this podcast. Stay with us. Doc here for FanaticU.com, Detroit Sports official outfitter and the official outfitter of the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. If you're a fan of the Tigers, Wings, Pistons, Lions, then you definitely need to check out FanaticU.com, Detroit's premier online store, official outfitter. Anything at all that you need to purchase, you can find at FanaticU.com. Check with our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast for upcoming deals and specials, and check out at Fanatic U Sports for upcoming signings. They've got Jared Saltalamacchia later this month of June. Fulmer's going to be doing a signing out there at the Fraser location. FanaticU.com is making waves, and I'm hearing from our friends there that they may be looking to get future signings, future Detroit Lions out there at the locations there at Fanatic U. Detroit Sports official outfitter, Fanatic U.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money,
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar. Ching, ching, bling, bling, cut the chatter. You ain't talking money, then your talking don't matter. Ching, ching, bling, bling, patent pockets. You take the dollar, dollar, can a damn soul stop it.
Motor City Sports Rant, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. We're back and talk about a sickness. You know that feeling when, you see people who are addicted to stuff and they know that they are, but there's nothing that you can do about it. I feel that's what I am with the Detroit Lions.
Can't quit them, huh?
That I don't know what it is. It's the cornbread is so hot and buttery. The Kool-Aid, so refreshing. Once it hits your lips, the Lions are not getting any love, man. And it's really bumming me out.
I had that same feeling when, I was all up in arms when the national media was kind of talking about the Tigers. They were all like, last place, fourth place finishers. These guys aren't going to be any good. Da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, these guys are crazy. Look at this offense. Look at this. All of a sudden, they come out to that start, and I'm like, maybe these national guys maybe do know something. But the ridiculousness of the comments made recently by Pro Football Focus is ridiculous. 4-12, that's not going to happen. If that happens, you're going to see massive changes, obviously, and you'd have to factor in injuries and something catastrophic happening. This, I was talking to Adam at a gathering on Sunday, and we said right now the fair starting point, and maybe the theme of this podcast, is around 500. 8-8 with a 2-game swing forward, 10-6, and 2 games down, 6-10. That's the fairest range if you want to look at it. Between 6 and 10 wins is a fair range, and I'm of the opinion that with a little bit of luck and continued execution of what they're trying to do on offense and defense, with that schedule, I could see them going 10-6, 4-12. Messaging everybody, I'm like, what do you guys think of this? And everyone's kind of in the same boat, like, PFF probably has an axe to grind with the Lions, because that doesn't seem like a fair assessment. Although some of the haters have piggybacked and said the same thing. This is going to be a bad football team, and I'm probably certain it starts with the loss of one of your best wide receivers, Calvin Johnson.
4-12 is absolutely ridiculous.
But did you think they were going to fall off when Sue left? They fell off.
No, I didn't think that they were going to fall off.
They did.
And they fell off for half a season, and then they figured it out. And this is also with, I think the bigger loss in the last year was DeAndre Levy. Obviously, yeah, you can't replace Sue. I think Nada took about 5 games to come back to form. He was coming back from injury. I just think 4-12 from Pro Football Focus. SI did their early power rankings, had him ranked 24th or 23rd. ESPN came out, they ranked the rosters, and they ranked the Lions 24th. And really, the biggest thing that they're doing is it's because of the loss of Calvin Johnson. And I don't know, maybe I have too much faith in this team. But I've we've seen life without Calvin Johnson. Go back to 2015 when we made the playoffs. Golden Tate stepped up, and I think we have talent that are right on the cusp of figuring out. I think Marvin Jones, you want to say he's injury prone. I don't think he's as injury prone as everybody thinks. He played 16 games last year. He missed the season before with an ankle injury, which players are allowed to have season-ending injuries. It happens. Year before that, he played 16 games. I think Marvin Jones, I'm not saying TJ Jones is going to be good, but all the stuff has been good from what they've been saying. Eric Ebron, I think the third year, you want to hope that he's going to take the step. I just think we have too much talent, and we've been to the playoffs so recently that to think that they're going to be 4-12 it's dumb. It sounds dumb.
See, what you're saying now, what you're displaying is, you're displaying your frustration with the reputation of the Lions, but they firmly earned it. You got to admit that they've earned this reputation because it's the Lions. When you expect them to do well, they don't. And when you've expected them to underperform, they've done well. But listen, the resume speaks for itself with the Detroit Lions. Whenever you make a prediction of 10-6, you get eye rolls. And I seriously think that not only based on their performance, but their schedule looks weak. So I'm also factoring into account a little bit that the Lions have struggled, and I've watched them year after year underperform a little bit. But let's look at this. There are strengths at key positions now all across the board. We can be a little bit positive when we make assumptions that, hey, the Lions are going to come back on offense and be okay. That's assuming a normal football team. This is the Lions. You could have a trio of wide receivers that do good, and Stafford takes a step back, or Stafford gets injured. So there's a lot of factors that have to get into place for this team to make that next step. But the first part I'm satisfied with is the defense is looking like it's rounding into form. And last year, what was our big concern and our big worry? The secondary. You got guys now like Darius Slay, Nevin Lawson, Quandre Diggs, a trio of guys in that secondary that are serviceable, that can be impactful players.
And then you got Glover Quinn at safety. He's a lockdown. You have a couple guys trying to get that strong safety with Raphael Bush or Tavon Wilson. I personally like the muscle hammer, the Miles Killebrew. I think he's going to compete. You have Alex Carter, who was out all of last year, he's got something to prove. He's a big cornerback, which I love to see big cornerbacks. I think the defense is going to surprise people.
It shouldn't surprise people. Terrell Austin has put in a system that's been in place that can, really affect defenses.
I'm not saying it's going to. I think it's going to surprise people of the talent that they have on the field, because I think people saw the step back last year, and they're going to come out this year and just figure that they can run all over the team. I think that you're not going to be able to do that. And back to the point of Calvin Johnson leaving, the main reason that they're saying that we're going to take such a step back is because we're without our main wide receiver. And I think not enough has been pointed to. And when I went to Allen Park when Matt Stafford first talked a couple weeks ago, and one thing that I took away is when they asked him about, what's it going to be like seeing defenses that, when you don't have Calvin Johnson. And he said something along the lines of, that when they're actually preparing to look at film at the beginning of the week, they're going to be seeing the defenses on Sunday that they see during the week. Because on Sunday, they're going to have 2 or 3 guys double, triple cover Calvin Johnson. So now Matthew Stafford is going to be able to prepare for the defense that he's actually going to see, because they're not going to be triple coverage guys. It's going to be more man, more likely. So, and I think that just benefits us.
So Matthew Stafford got the chance to meet Jason the King Jarvi?
Hey, that's unbelievable!
I would have smiled. I would have shook his hand. I would have been cool about it.
No, you got out there to Allen Park. It was good stuff.
Yeah, it was.
What'd you do out there?
I was there for some of their first rounds of player interviews. Glover Quinn, he talked, and I think it was when they were really just starting to get there and starting to have meetings. It was shortly after draft, so it was. It's funny too. When Matt's
go ahead.
I'm such a homer, man.
Do tell.
I feel so bad when Matt Stafford walked in the room. I'm like, I had to smile.
Oh my God, are you serious,
dude? It's Matt. It's Matt Stafford.
That's like, in wrestling, breaking kayfabe. You can't act like that. You're supposed to be like serious and professional.
Oh,
I'm sure you were, but you were like giggling.
I wasn't like
You were giddy on the inside. Yes, yes, you were.
I looked at him. He comes in. He looks like a normal guy. He's wearing a tiger cap. I'm like,
listen, did he have an aura, like a Rick James aura? Like, in that great skit, Dave Chappelle, he walked in and had like an aura, the Rick James aura. Did he have that?
No, he was just dreamy.
Are you serious? That's the one guy that I would point to and say, you got to step it up. This is a guy that really, inevitably, when you talk about the Lions, it all falls on him.
I dare you to do that. I dare you to look Matthew Stafford in the eyes and say, you are the reason this team is doing bad. Dude, Matt Stafford will give his life for this team.
So you're good. You've been asked to come back. Within a year or two, I would have my credential pulled. I would have, feuds going on, and I would be politely, removed from my position if I was covering the Lions.
That's why I'm in the media business, and
I think it's a fair question to ask, though. Hey, after 8 years, are you frustrated that you haven't had playoff success? Is this what you envisioned?
It's a dumb question because he's obviously going to say yes.
Oh, well, good. That's not a dumb question. It's what the question is. What people want to know, and they want to know what's they want to gauge what's his passion. Because I'm serious. The big question with Matthew Stafford, and maybe a reason why that groups like Pro Football Focus and other national pundits, maybe they don't view Stafford as a gamer. They view him as a guy that is there day in, day out, but he wouldn't maybe die for the team or wouldn't
That's
maybe.
garbage.
I don't
Jay
know.
Cutler is a guy who won't die for the team.
Yes,
Matthew Stafford, we've seen him. We've seen him in the first couple the Browns game.
You can't be a Stafford apologist, can you? Come on now.
I'm not apologizing for anything. I'm just saying he's a good quarterback. He loves the Lions.
See, that's a debatable point right now. At this point in time in his career, we're still asking, show me something. I mean, he's
going to show you this year.
He's going to show me? What is he going to show
They're
us?
going to win a playoff game this year.
Okay.
Oh, God.
You say, yeah.
What did I do?
They're going to win a playoff game this year.
God.
Okay. It's recorded now on the podcast, digitally recorded and can play. They're going to win a playoff game with Matt Stafford in his 9th season. All right, let's go. He'll earn like $150 million.
Yeah. They're going to build a statue of right after they win the game. They're going to just tear up downtown Detroit. I'm not sure if anything's going to be left standing. The new Little Caesars Arena, it's going to be torn down. It's going to be set on fire.
Are you surprised with a guy like Stafford that he still garners roughly 50% support in town? Like, you open the subject, Matthew Stafford, are you down with him? Are you not? You still get, about 50% of the people that don't like him, 50% that are down with him.
No, I'm not that surprised because it's the Lions. That's just how fans are. I think there's the fans like me who are kind of crazy and they're going to support their team. And there's also the fans who they'll watch and they'll secretly hope that they win, but they're on the outwardly they're the Lions suck. They're never going to be good until the Fords leave. So yeah, those are the kinds of people who will always hate Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, see, he's going to be the focal point of a lot of different things. The offense is going to be, something that's going to be looked upon. Can they really recover? Now, you said that overall, the Lions were ranked 24th in the entire NFL.
Of roster-wise, yes.
Okay, see, I would put them right smack dab in the middle. I would say that 50% of the squads in the NFL are better, 50% are worse. But I'm happy to see what Taylor Decker can do on that line. What's this new revamped offensive line going to look like, and how are they going to perform?
Yeah, I think it's another reason to be positive. Yeah, you were going into OTAs. It was all a mystery of how much is Taylor Decker going to work on the left side? Is he going to split time going to right to left? And they've pretty much come out, and Taylor Decker has been at left tackle, and Briley Reef has been moved over to right. And from everything that they've been saying is that he's made the transition well. That Reef he's a gamer. That's what he does, is he can play different positions. So that obviously means that Taylor Decker is exactly what they wanted. And if he ends up being our starting left tackle for 10 years, then we're gonna look back at this draft and say, hey, this is when we started turning everything around.
So what factors do you think have to happen this year for the Lions to fulfill your prophecy and have success in the regular season and the postseason?
Well, I think the first thing is, and it's going to come with success, that Stafford is going to spread the ball around. It's not just going to be the Calvin Johnson show. Is that he's going, and I think for them to really take the next step is you want to see Stafford make a receiver. You see the great quarterbacks, the Tom Brady's, they make a guy like Danny Amendola and Julian Edelman into good, really great receivers. You look down in New Orleans, they've had a host of wide receivers there, and they haven't had a superstar, but Drew Brees consistently throws for close to 5,000 yards. So I think I want to see him take a Jeremy Curley or a TJ Jones and make him a 800-yard receiver, make him a serviceable guy that people actually that he's going to be the next free agent guy.
See, what I think has to happen, I think that the offense has to be in the top 15 and the defense has to continue on doing something that they did a lot last year, continue to get takeaways. That defense was swarming last year. Remember, they got the Lions a couple extra possessions just by strong hits, some interceptions, some situations where, the Lions had a history in the past of when it was 3rd and long or when it was 3rd down, they couldn't get off the field. Yep. They were much more proficient last year getting off the field, giving Matthew Stafford the ball a couple more times. And their offense under, Cooter was really proficient. I was relatively impressed by what he was able to do. And you now see with NFL coaches, and you see it across the league and anywhere you talk about coaching, you got to be able to fit your talent to the scheme that you have. You can't just say, this is my scheme and be damned, I'm going to run it no matter who I got. That's what got Lombardi. That's what got Joe Lombardi fired, is that everyone was like, dude, let Stafford do something. You're restricting him. What's with this offense? It's so terrible. It's predictable. You had Golden Tate come out and was like, hey, everyone knows what we're doing. And Cooter comes in, and all of a sudden you started to see the offense look a lot better, look like a professional offense. Not the one that I'm particularly fond of personally. I like to see them throw it a little bit more, but it was proficient. It got first downs. You were able to score, and you were able to really hurt some teams.
So what one player on this team right now do you think needs to take the biggest step this year if we're going to be an 8-8 to 10-6 team rather than a 6-10 to 4-12 team?
What one player do I think needs to step it up or have a really strong impact? I would say outside of Matthew Stafford, I would say potentially Golden Tate. I think if he can continue to maybe emerge as a number one, then you can maybe facilitate everyone else getting better. Golden Tate's a guy that has the potential of being a one, but has kind of firmly implanted himself as a number two. So I'm thinking that if he can be consistent, and the thing that he does really well, you just have to give him credit, yards after the catch. He wasn't going out there catching the ball last year out there at the 15 to 25 yard range. He was out there catching it 5 to 10 yards out, making people miss. If he can emerge and continue some success, that'll help Stafford, help the run game, and maybe, just maybe, he'll be that leader that we all want him to be. He's a talker. This is a guy that goes out there, talks to the media, says what's on his mind. Translate it more to the field. Golden Tate could do some damage.
I think an obvious choice is Matt Stafford. And I really think any success with the offense, even if you say Golden Tate, I think it's going to go through Matt Stafford. But I think a player that we really need to see step up, and it's we've been calling it ever since we drafted him 10th overall, and that's Eric Ebron. I think you really need to see him take a big step, see him get to the level of Rob Gronkowski, of Greg Olsen, of Jordan Reed in Washington. He needs to be, I think we need him to be our number one or 1A option. I think Golden Tate is obviously the number one right now, but I want Eric Ebron to step it up, and I want him to be a target, because you see what Kirk Cousins was able to do in Washington. His wide receivers, Pierre Garçon, Deshaun Jackson, they aren't great wide receivers, but they're serviceable wide receivers. But then he has Jordan Reed as a number one tight end and pretty much his big option in the red zone. I think if Ebron comes in this year and is dependable for Matt Stafford, he's a red zone threat. He gets 10 to 12 touchdowns, which I'm not saying he's going to, But that's what he does. If he comes in and can do that, then I think this team is more than likely a top 10 offense. And as I said before, they're going to win a playoff game.
You know, I love our Twitter page. Instant reaction. No, literally 15 seconds after I threw out this tweet. I love this response. I threw out a tweet. If you support Matthew Stafford as Lions quarterback, tell us why. So Reed Gerbschmidt from Twitter sends us a message. Maybe because he's the best quarterback in the NFL. Us real fans know this. It's shameful journalism to ask that question. Damn, I got hammered. People actually, there's like, I understand the people that support Stafford, but they really take offense to the other side of the debate. And I really feel it like, all I'm saying is he hasn't done nothing. He gets a lot of yards. He pads his stats. He gets a lot of garbage yards. I'm just looking at wins and losses in the biggest games, which is the postseason. And what do I see? That's all. I just see a situation where there hasn't been a whole lot of playoff success. So you have to ask, I'm just a regular guy watching. He hasn't done nothing in the postseason, and he's drawn a lot of money. So with that contract and with his future contract impending, all I'm saying is do something when it counts. Great, in the regular season, you throw for 5,000 yards. You've thrown for 30 touchdowns plus. Great, you've gotten wins. You've gotten tough losses. But I'm saying, listen, when it's final exam time, you could show up to every class. You could be a model student. But when it comes to the final, if you flunk all the finals, you're going to have a poor grade. You know, you can't argue that Stafford is the best quarterback around. Come on now, it's not fair.
His name is Reed?
Read Gerbschmidt. Reed Gerbschmidt.
Reed Gerbschmidt might be a crazier Lion fan than me. I think Stafford is a great quarterback. I think he has the ability to be a top 10 quarterback, but I have enough sense to say that he hasn't done it yet. He has all the talent. He has all the ability. And for whatever reason, reason or another, it just hasn't all clicked together.
See, Emmanuel gets in. The guy plays his heart out. Best QB the Lions have ever had. Top 10 QB, just needs an O-line, sacked 90 times in 2 years. The support's rolling in. See?
There you go. That's essentially what I say, is he has the ability. And I made the point on the show earlier today that Matthew Stafford is the best quarterback the Lions have ever had. You're Scott Mitchell? Scott Mitchell won playoff games, but Matt Stafford is the best quarterback I know I've ever seen in my lifetime as a Lion. And I don't know, I'm not sure when we're actually going to get a talent like that. So the wins are going to come eventually, which I think is this season. I'm gonna have to stick with this now for the next 6-7 months.
That's it.
I better win a
Listen. It's not a bad way to be hopeful. We just need you to take that energy and passion, stick it now to the Tigers. That's what we need. Before we talk about the NBA Finals and what the hell we've been watching and some basketball, just want to thank everybody for their continued support of our podcast network. All the shows, we've been seeing increased downloads, a lot more interaction. We greatly appreciate it. More subscribers on iTunes. Everybody out there that listens and tunes in Monday through Sunday to all the shows, we greatly appreciate it. That's what the project's about. From the Hindsight 20 podcast to the Motor City Sports Rant to the Vinny Stubbs Show to Tigers Talk to Doc and Jock, Fantasy Nerds, the one-on-one segments, the Count That Baby and the Foul, the Red Wing specials. We love this project and what we've been able to do with it, and it allows us to provide on-demand Detroit sports content 24/7. Thank you for the continued support. That's why we do this on a fun Monday evening. Love to talk in sports, me and the King, and look for more positive things from this podcast network, rated one of the top 3 podcast networks in town by CBS Detroit. Detroit Sports Podcast Network. All right, King, how fast did you turn off that crappy NBA game? First quarter, second quarter, third quarter? How far did you make it into game 2?
I didn't really make it a whole lot. I tuned in every now and then because I think, what was it? I think they were up by 20 at one point, and I was like, ew, boy, that's not looking good for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I think it's hilarious because I hate the Cavs. I hate their owner. I hate LeBron James. And they're getting what they deserve. They had such a cakewalk through the Eastern Conference. I think we said that after they beat the Pistons and they just demolished the Hawks. Raptors put up a little bit of fight. They had 3 days rest before 3 or 4 days rest before the finals even started. I think everyone kind of thought that the Warriors might have been a little bit more tired coming back 3-1 from the Thunder, and they're just getting blown out. It's like they don't remember playing them last year in the finals. It doesn't make sense. And I read an article that Ty Lue, the coach, was actually surprised by them going small. That's how they lost last year. Andre Iguodala killed you last year. What are you doing, Cavs?
Listen, everybody that's harping on LeBron, that's harping on the cast, really, in the end, LeBron will probably get a fair pass because what you're looking at and what we're seeing, and I'm appreciating thoroughly. I stayed till the third quarter because my eyes were mesmerized. I was like, you got to be kidding me. This team is unbelievable. This is Draymond Green. This is the guy we were debating whether to give $80 million to for the Pistons, and we were going back and forth. This is the guy that's flexing. This is the guy that's the quote-unquote leader of one of the greatest NBA teams of all time. Really, in the end, the first 2 games, you saw a basketball clinic. Whatever moves Cleveland made, Golden State had the answer for. Steve Kerr's no joke. You got to remember, Steve Kerr was part of the Michael Jordan Bulls. This is a guy that's won. This is a guy that's a fiery coach and a leader. So sometimes you're in a situation where, and I'm almost willing to say it, the series is over, 4 to 5 games. I think that Cleveland will give their best shot in game 4. But you're in a situation where, and sometimes in sports it's hard to say it, Cleveland's in a situation where whatever they do, they could try their absolute best, peak. Everybody on that squad, 1 through 12, can play their best, and it's probably not good enough. And it's fair to say it, and I think more people need to say it. Golden State is winning this series. It's not a situation where, if you want to comment on LeBron and whether he should score 50 and things like that, listen, LeBron could probably score 60. You still got, right now, the Golden State Warriors winning with their B team. Klay Thompson and Steph Curry haven't performed yet. They're up 2-0, and they're dominant. This is a good shooting basketball team, and they play strong defense. Whatever Cleveland can try to muster up, barring a significant injury to Golden State, you're looking at history, one of the best 5 teams in NBA history. I don't give the Cavs that much credit, and I don't give them that much blame. It's a done series. Golden State's awesome. That's just what it is.
Yeah, there's no way that the Cavs are coming back. It's either going to be won in 5 games or 6 games. There's literally nothing. There's nothing they can do because right now, they've been shutting down Steph and Klay, but that's because they're putting LeBron James on Steph Curry. So yeah, the dude is a giant on a kid that looks like a teenager. So yeah, Steph Curry is going to struggle, but that's eating up so much of LeBron James's energy. So if they switch him off of Curry, Curry's going to go off. There's nothing that they can do unless they have a magical guy on their bench that can figure it out. There's no way the Cavs come back. And I think it brings up a question if the Cavs do lose this game, then I think the question is answered that LeBron James can't win a championship without other superstars with him, without his boys. He can't win without Wade or Bosh.
And that's fair. And it's a fair situation in that, a lot of people give Michael Jordan a lot of credit for those 6 titles that the Bulls had. And a lot of people will say, hey, he carried them. But you got to remember, he had Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen's a top 50 NBA player. So you can't do it all by yourself. And I feel for those people that are really that narrow-minded and think that LeBron should just go out there, one-man show, and dominate a top 10 all-time NBA team. Come on now. It's not realistic. LeBron definitely can play better. He definitely can go out there and perform at a higher level. I'll give him that. That's no certainty, no doubt about it. But he's got 2 rings. And however he got it, he earned them. And there are guys out there that are NBA Hall of Famers that never got a ring. So he's got 2 rings, and this is a typical sports argument. Can he do it on his own, things like that. But in the end, even if he were to win this title, it's not going to be because of him by himself. It would be because Kyrie stepped up as well. Kevin Love manned up for once and did something, and some of the other guys performed at a level. That's why it's team basketball. LeBron is an important part of that team, but I'm realistic with basketball, at least, in that I realize it's a good team game. It's a good fundamentally sound game. LeBron is a big part of the Cavaliers, but I do believe that in the next 5 or 6 years, he'll probably go somewhere with a good group of guys and contribute probably to another one. He'll probably get one more max, but I don't think that, because of one series versus an all-time great team, that you write off LeBron James. It's too early.
I do. I think
You can't write him off. Because he'll get
a great player.
It's with-
I'm not. He's probably arguably the best player in the league still. But if he loses, he falls to 2-5 in the finals. There's no way that he'll ever be compared to Michael Jordan. No way. And that's you have to close the book on it. Michael went to 6 championships. He won 6 championships. Even if somehow LeBron James gets 6 championships, he's going to be 6-5. So yeah, it'll be great. You've been to 11 championships, but you lost nearly half of them. I don't know. If Michael wouldn't have gone to baseball, I think they probably would have won more, and there wouldn't even be this talk of LeBron James being as good as Michael Jordan. I just watched. Have you seen the 30 for 30 magic? This magic moment.
It was good.
Yeah, about the Magic. You saw what I think they're even better than what the Cavs have. You had a Shaq in his prime, a Penny Hardaway, and I think probably my biggest thing is I just don't want Cleveland to win.
What's been your favorite 30 for 30? You have one?
I really like the U. The U was really good. Bad Boys, obviously. And I like Randy U too. Randy Moss is a fascinating character.
Look at you, VIP. You're getting some important texts over there.
Yep, I know.
Listen, real fast before we get out of here. I heard a little bit of talk on the radio, a little bit, can't recall where there have been a lot of talk now about how the quality of the NBA playoffs has been a little bit down with so many blowouts of 20 points or more. This postseason, has had over 20 games in the postseason decided by 20 points or more. So, if that trend continues and you got this hot shooting team now in Golden State that likely with this core, obviously young core, can take this and continue it on for a number of years. Do you think the league, for television purposes, because when you notice, and that's why I opened with that question, people don't like blowouts. They like intriguing drama. That's why Game 6 was one of the highest rated playoff games maybe of all time, OKC versus Golden State. The fans and television networks don't want people tuning off and clicking off. Game 2 of this year's final is already down in the ratings compared to last year. So some of the talk maybe of changing the game, moving the three-point line back further, changing the game up to make the game more competitive and more TV friendly. You down with that? And should they do it? I was thinking when I thought about it, my honest opinion is the game is great. Leave it alone. This is an anomaly. You're having teams now play like Golden State. It's a better watch. If these guys are going to actually make shots and you get games like, if you have offensive games like that, it's going to be entertaining. You just need more teams to execute it.
Yeah, and I don't mind blowouts, and it's purely, you're talking purely from a money standpoint and a marketing for the NBA. I don't mind blowouts. I would prefer seeing like a 120-80 game. I love watching the Cavaliers get blown out because any misery for Cleveland, wonderful. And I think I wouldn't. I'm not sure about moving back the 3-point line, but I like the idea of bringing like a 4-point line. You have
that's horrible.
When you have a guy like Steph Curry,
that's so horrible,
who can launch it from pretty much half court and make it.
Half court should be 6 points? Come on now. The game is great. I don't like tinkering with greatness. The game
then
right
just
now.
Take away the 3-point line too. Why not?
I don't think they need to tinker. This idea, you have to talk about it because networks are in partnerships with these clubs, and if they want the money, the green to keep flowing into their pockets, they got to look at the quality of the game. That's why. Why do you think the heck of Drummond is going to be abolished? Because it bogged down the game and it was absolutely horrible to watch.
Well, if they really wanted to fix that, the whole blowouts and making the game more competitive, they should try to do away with guys basically teaming up and forming all-star teams. You saw what LeBron did going to Miami. They went to 4 straight finals, and I think if anything that hurts. You hurt your ratings when you see the Miami Heat in the finals 4 years in a row. You're now going to have the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2 years in a row in the championship. Nobody wants to see Cleveland in there. I mean, yeah, you're going to see LeBron, but I think you'd rather see some sort of parity.
Okay. Well, I think what's going to happen is you're going to see a lot more copycats and hopefully a better brand of basketball. Steph Curry has changed the game. Klay Thompson and Draymond Green are, wow, what a bunch. And, you know, I've watched a lot of the NBA finals. I'm trying to stay involved, stay active. And what's interesting is that can these Golden State Warriors continue this run if they win this title 3 years, 4 years? Because they're young, they got a core. Maybe they add a KD. Maybe they add somebody who wants to go win a title. This Golden State team could be an all-time team. So I implore people, watch it, enjoy what you're seeing, and don't be one of those like, well, you know, I was, because there's so many options. I clicked around a little bit, but definitely peek in and definitely enjoy this because this is history.
Yeah, and I think at some point that core is going to break up. Like, they're going to give money to one guy.
We were wrong. We should have got Draymond Green. He would have been doing this with the Pistons.
I'm not sure about that, but
he
would have been a great piece.
He would have been a 18-10 guy.
But one of those guys, somebody's going to be gone. They already locked up Draymond. I'm not sure what Steph and Klay's contracts are like, but it's likely going to be Klay Thompson because he's the forgotten Splash Brother. Even though I don't know. You saw what Sean Livingston was able to be serviceable, and they lived without Steph Curry for the beginning part of the playoffs. So I don't know. We'll see. You don't see that nowadays with in this ballooned out salary cap world of people getting max deals. Guys like Chris Middleton getting max deals.
Well, all I can say is we lit a fire because our Twitter page literally blew up on fire. All I asked was simple.
Stafford's a hot button.
Stafford's a hot button. I quickly forget. But actually, I'm proud of myself. I asked a good question. Reeds keep tweeting me, asking, telling me how bad the question was. I had to tell him, like, hey, it's not a question. It's just, if you support Stafford, tell me why. And definitely check out our Twitter page, King at Detroit Podcast. See all the response of he's the best lines ever, all that good stuff.
All the cornbread.
Good stuff, sir. Episode 64 in the books. We just turned on the mics and let it rip. It's why I love doing this podcast with you. Definitely review what I text you, and maybe we can roll something fun out for our podcast show.
Yeah. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll have something fun for all you people out there. But that's going to do it for this episode. He's John Macaroon. I'm Jason Jarvi. See you next week.
Okay, nice idiot. You. Bye-bye.
Good day, sir. I said good day.
All right. Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Loser.